Welcome to the short screencast on the Model Context Protocol. Until now, what we were doing with the AI agents, which are powering the MCP, they were heavily relying on connecting to um, data and tools, right? But their responses were mostly text only. Over the past few weeks, I was exploring with the MCP UI and remote MCP. So for now, we'll park the remote MCP for the future videos, but we'll focus on the MCP UI. So what exactly is an MCP UI? It is an extension for the Model Context Protocol that allows an AI agent to embed interactive user interface component directly inside a chat conversation. So if I use Claude to send a request through the chat interface, it's going to reply back to me based on my prompt, whether a, a graphical output, that could be some visuals, or mostly it is replying back into a text format, right? What MCP UI does is that instead of returning a plain text, what it does is that the agent responds it more into a dynamic interface, such as like tables or charts or buttons. So it's more interactive. So every time you write a question, it gives you back with a user interface. So this kind of capability, you really didn't had it before, right? With the current applications. And this is where the MCP UI helps. So you can embed these components in response. So instead of getting a text back, you are basically asking it to format into a visuals. Okay. And we'll see this as an example here. But just before I go there, if we look into this Autodesk ecosystems, we are really talking about platforms like Autodesk Forma, we got Revit, Navisworks, ACC Docs, and so many others. So if we, and this is something we did discuss in my previous video, where you can make these different servers that can talk to these different applications. But within this demo, what we will do is that we'll just look into the Autodesk Construction Cloud. So I have got a, by the way, before we go there, just take a note of the website. If you are interested and further wants to play around, then have a look into it. There are certain examples that you can further go through this application. Okay, so what I was trying to demo here within this application is you would, so for in this instance, I have got a model here on this specific folder, where what I wanted to do is I wanted to extract this information. So let's see how we can do it through the MCP UI. So if I go here to this interface, first I just wanted to give you a taste of what this looks like. So if I type here, show Mohammed favorite links, and because my question is into a text, but the response that I am getting back here is into a visual. So now you can see that this is a hyperlink, which I can either click to go to the specific browser and then it opens the link, or I can click on this to get this copied. So for instance, if I just say copy to clipboard, that gets to this link, and I can go to the folder and I can just paste. Okay. That takes me to that specific URL. Okay. So this is the value with the MCP UI. What it does is that it gives you this interactive components that you can communicate with. Okay. So let's look into another example. So this I've got this folder here where within this folder there is one file here. So, and I just for the sake of this example, I have pretty much hard coded few things within this example because my other version is a bit different. What we will do is we'll just give it a prompt. We'll say that show the files in the project management folder. So that's the folder where we are looking at. So it's called 10 underscore project management. That's the folder. And what you see is that it's the file that we have within the ACC. So if we look into the docs here, we got that specific file with the description, and it shows some other metadata. Okay. What if I just go in back again and I added few additional files? It's just some text files. There is nothing within that apart from one line. And what we could do is that we have these buttons that can help us to refresh the data, or I can export this information to Excel, or maybe I can search the information. So what we'll do is we will just recheck if the data is updated. Okay, it is updated. I'll just update one of these tags saying that this is a text file, and I go back here to the interface. I'll pretty much copy the same prompt and send. What it should now get me is the additional files which we uploaded. So I can use this component now for searching. So if I can say test or model, that's basically filtering the information, and I can further export this. And with the latest version within the APS, you can export a file to an Excel and fill the metadata and then re-import it back. So it's kind of looking into the functionalities around there where I can export the data to an Excel and we can see the various file type. I've removed the size and few other stuff, but the idea is that for you to understand that with the help of this MCP UI, you can easily understand. So previously we had like one file, now we have 4 files. You can design this whole UI with uh, based on the responses that you get. You can tweak it in a way that it would be helpful and more interactive. So now I can instead of copying this data or exporting this data to an Excel file, then attaching it to an email, what I could do is I could just say that, okay, email me the summary. So it will prepare the Excel file and it will attach to the email. And maybe I could write a prompt saying that, okay, after doing the attachment, send it to this person. So that those kind of agentic workflows are possible within with the help of this MCP UI. Okay, and if we look into the overall process, what we just did is that I've just mentioned a prompt here, and based on the prompt and whatever stuff's happening in the background, we have passed through the authentication with the help of this Autodesk Platform Services. Then we query for a specific project, and the relevant folder will retrieve the list and its metadata. And then we have formatted this into an interactive component that are helping to interact. And this is not a dummy table. right? So it's interactive, so it's fetching, it can export, or it can send this information. You can further ask to analyze the information. So if you are looking into, I mean, there are so many ideas, I didn't want it to, but I really hope you get to the message here. And if you think about the benefit of this application, and this is something that I've been hoping to explore further, but look at the various platforms that the Autodesk ecosystems have. So you're looking into Autodesk Forma. That was a that was discussed quite a lot during the Autodesk event, and some of the new features and functionalities that we are getting with Revit and Navisworks, that seems to be a bit more promising from an AI and MCP perspective. And uh, there's something which I have been hoping to further, explore my findings on the Autodesk Tandem, because the I mean, think of the scenario where you have the census information which are real time, and you can have these kind of components within your chat interface where it can analyze the data which is coming in real time. You can interact with it. You can further query with some of the historical data that you may have for those specific components. And I mean, there are many possibilities that would definitely looks promising in this space. So I think I'll try to conclude this um, with the video now. And but what we are really trying to see here is that more of these intelligent interfaces that can really connect to a wider enterprise systems, whether it could be Autodesk, Bentley, or S3, or so many other applications. So I hope you find it education entertaining, and thank you very much for watching.